Hello, good afternoon everyone, and welcome to another edition of Docler Tech Talks. My name is Christopher Ponterato. I am the Docler Communications Specialist here in Luxembourg, and we want to welcome you, our new joiners, and also previous audience members who have been with us for the past year and a half, I think. This is our social media tech talk, and the title for it is Social Media Secrets Behind the Screen. And I will introduce to you first our speakers for this afternoon's event. Right before I do that, though, just the general guideline rules. If you have any questions, any comments, anything you would like me or the speakers to speak about, just feel free to write it in the YouTube chat, and we'll get to it as soon as we can. So I guess now we can start. We'll start with Sindhu here. Welcome, Sindhu.
Great. Thank you, Chris. Hi, guys. So my name is Sindhu, and I look after social media for two brands in the Docler umbrella. And I think social media is so beautiful, and it's something that I love doing on a daily basis. And outside of that, I am also a certified hypnotherapist and life coach, and I have life coached several people from different parts of the world. And that's also something I really love doing. Over to you.
Hi, my name is Janine Fleck, and thank you for having me and organizing a talk on social media. I'm the social media manager at the Luxembourg City Tourist Office at the moment, also there for digital marketing in general. And before, I also had a job in social media as well for Lux Innovation, so also a Luxembourg-based company. So yeah, it's like some experience, some years of experience in that for B2B as well as B2C. And yeah, I'm looking forward to our exchange.
Awesome.
Great, yeah. And I think that, because social media, it falls under this marketing, digital marketing industry. So, it doesn't matter if you had no prior social media experience, but even if you worked a little bit in marketing, you can kind of get the feel of what should be posted, because at the end it's pretty much marketing on whatever platform you use. And the reason why we wanted to do this talk specifically is because it's especially due to COVID and all of the new innovation from the past few years. It seems like social media has been pretty much everywhere in our lives. So even though that's the case, there's also a lot of misconceptions that come along with it. So, as social media experts yourselves, what kind of misconceptions do you usually hear from peers?
So the first thing when I tell somebody that I'm a social media specialist / manager is the fact that, so what do you guys do all day? Are you just browsing Instagram? Well, we do browse on Instagram, and we do have fun working with social media, but it's not all fun and games most of the time. Social media also comes with its own set of challenges several times. So it can be that, your ad is blocked. Say you're promoting something on Facebook, and you actually spend 3 hours talking to somebody from the Facebook head office trying to fix it. So these are things that we encounter on a fairly regular basis. Because very recently, Facebook has a list of do's and don'ts that you have to follow. And it's not the easiest to understand sometimes, So these are blocks that, we do encounter when we least expect it. And also in terms of content creation, it's sometimes difficult to produce new and enriching content on a daily basis. We do it, we do our best, but just like a writer's block, there are times we get a content block as well. So I'd say the top two challenges that we do encounter on a regular basis are these two. And yeah, the misconceptions are that, it's all chill and it's all fun and games. So,
right, yeah. And what about you? What do you think, Janine?
Yeah, because I think, people are themselves a lot on social media actually, but then when it comes to the business world, it's sometimes underestimated. So it's like, oh, you take pretty pictures. Yeah, definitely yes, but also taking pretty pictures is something that takes a lot of work too.
Sure, yeah.
And there's not only pictures, so it's actually a very diverse job. It involves writing, creativity, but also numbers, so statistics and having results at the end of the day. So yeah, I think it's a big variety, and people underestimated sometimes.
And I completely agree when she said results and the numbers, because that's such an integral part that a lot of people fail to notice sometimes, you know, because if you're on a personal account and, you know, you might not bother with the number of likes or the engagement that you get. But the moment you're working with a brand, you know, there are certain deliverables that you have to deliver.
Of course, right, yeah.
And Instagram can change their algorithm just like that, you know. The Facebook policies can change overnight. And as a social media specialist, it's your duty to kind of be updated with everything that's happening and still deliver. So that can be a bit challenging at times.
Yeah, I think because, you know, when, and you made a good point with how, you know, Facebook or Instagram, just out of nowhere, like as soon as you're trying to promote something, it'll just say, oh, blocked for whatever reasons, please go to this site. And then you're wondering because, you know, it was working fine before and then all of a sudden it's blocked. So, you know, there is this huge difference, I think, between having a personal Facebook, personal social media, and then having the business side, because I think that's where the misconception lies, because anyone can just go on their Instagram, you know, go through their photos, just think of a quick caption and post it. But when you have, you know, when you're working for a business, like as you said, Janine, and as you said, you know, there are deadlines, there are specific things that need to be portrayed. There's, you know, promotions for events, for, you know, products, for all sorts of things. And this is where it goes from, I guess, you know, a side activity to an actual job.
Exactly, yeah. And you know what I've noticed, Chris? At Docler, a bunch of us handle multiple brands, you know. So there are challenges that come with each brand. And also sometimes my, you know, worst nightmare is actually doing some kind of branding that I had planned for one brand for the other brand. So that is also something that we have to be extremely careful about, because you're switching between channels. For example, I have 6 Instagram accounts on my phone. That's true. And there's also Twitter, there's also Facebook. So, you know, constantly switching, and, you know, you have to have a shift in your mindset when you go from 1 to 2. So that's something,
And also, you know, it's great that we have both of you, because, you know, it's because, as you say, we work for several different products. But Janine, with My Luxembourg, you know, it's a completely different industry, because it's focused not just on, you know, of Luxembourg as a city, as a country, but it's the tourist office where you work, the Luxembourg City Tourist Office. So there's also this marketing that you have when it comes to, you know, attracting not just the people within the country, but then other people. So
So it always has to be a mix of things, and clearly you also have to have an editorial line. You cannot just post anything you want. I mean, you have to make some arrangements, adjustments, depending on where you work, what you promote. There can be, because these things that go live, you instantly have a feedback, and then you instantly have people saying, well, this is not my bar on the photo, and it can be tricky, because you kind of have to please everyone, and you have to be quite careful and very sensitive to these things.
Sure. And one thing that's super important is that when you do a post, like as soon as you do it, like if you made a mistake, there will be people who see it. So you know, you may have like a second or two to do it, but even with that, it becomes a little tricky as well.
I know, because the thing is, we're constantly doing so much, you know, that it's possible that we do a small spelling mistake or something, you know. And the thing is, sometimes when we do it, because we're on it the whole day, we're just switching between channels, or, you know, we're just so focused, it happens. I mean, human error is possible, you know. And then you know that somebody sees it and you get a message, and it's happened to all of us.
Plus, you have to be fast still, you know. You cannot take a lot of time, because if there's an event, you have to be at the event, tweeting from there, tweeting live, let people know what's going on, and then then to be careful but fast.
Of course. So my question is, how do you guys post? Like, how do you prepare a post? Do you focus on like the image first, the caption first, the timing first? What goes through each of your heads when you know, do the content?
Very diverse, because it depends on the channel. Definitely on Facebook, it's about informing people what's going on. Very event related. So there's a a general planning of that, like a content plan with important dates and events and so on. But then you have to mix it up a little with some nice pictures or videos. So yeah, so those things are a little more spontaneous, I would say. So if the weather is nice or if it snows, then that immediately, of course, has to go up. Yeah, so it's a mix of planning and being spontaneous, I would say.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, with us, what we do is, you know, since we're handling multiple brands, around every month we create a brand book or like brand guidelines as to how we'd like to take the channel ahead. And we also believe in kind of, you know, surprising the audience with new content and, you know, more interesting stuff every month. And also one of our challenges is to keep each brand identity separate. So we make sure that, you know, while we build on the brand, while we do something new every month, we also keep their identities separate. So as a team, we sit together. So even though I'm managing, say, 2 channels, you know, and my colleague is probably managing channel 3 and channel 4, we sit together because 5 eyes and 5, you know, ideas is definitely better than 1.
Sure.
So we draft a plan for like, say, the coming month or 2, and then we produce content depending on that. And also, you know, since we curate content for a couple of our brands, we don't create, but we curate content, it's interesting to kind of have a mood board or some kind of inspiration, you know, and then we put together our captions. And also there are some days, you know, I think it's just like writers, it clicks, like a really good caption clicks. So, you know, when we're in that mood, then we create more content, probably keep a bank. So it's organic in that sense. So, yeah, but it also really depends on what the brand needs or what kind of side of the brand that we want to showcase to the audience.
Of course.
So,
yeah, and I think you raised a good point, because when, you know, when we do posting and have the content ready, there may come a moment like right before you click post where you think, oh, I don't know if I should post this now. So, you know, what are there ever moments where, you know, you'll ask someone in your team for advice, or will you just say, like, I'm sure of my ability, I'm going to press it, because, you know, it's going out to so many people. You may feel like it might be a difficult post. How do you guys usually handle it?
I'm definitely letting some colleagues check for advertisings, because then there's money behind it. So if it's a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad, better for someone to to read it again.
Sure.
And then depends also on the language, because we work in 4 languages. So, so English, German, I would be able to write, French as well, but I prefer somebody checks over that again. Yeah, and same in Luxembourgish.
Wow.
Yeah. It's the same with me as well. You know, there are some days or even some topics. For example, we were doing a video for the 4th of May, and that's not my area of expertise.
Sure.
You know, so I had to check with a colleague to write a nice caption for me. And also, there are a couple of team members who have a very keen eye. So even if I'm not 100% sure about something, even if it's a story, I tell them, just check my story, let me know if it's fine.
Okay.
So yeah, we cross-check for each other, and it definitely helps. And if there's one subject, for example, if there's something about beauty or luxury or fashion, you know, I write a caption for them, or I put together an article. So we also kind of bank on our strengths, whatever subjects we're good at, and then collectively work.
Not bad, okay. Yeah, and sorry, there was actually one question I wanted to ask you guys at the beginning, and it was how did you two get into social media and digital marketing?
Yeah, well, I studied communication and PR, as well as languages, and most of my experience also while I was studying was in the media field. And then new media was just the best shot of starting out and getting a job. And I guess this is how I got a social media job. And then obviously you stay there, you gain experience, and then suddenly it becomes your niche in a way.
With me, I did my master's in international business at the Manchester Business School, so I knew that I wanted to get into marketing at that point. But my first job was actually in celebrity management, so I was like an agent to a bunch of Bollywood celebrities. But when I was doing that, that's when I started working on social media, because I was also managing some of their Twitter accounts. So Twitter is probably the first channel with which I began.
Sure.
Because Instagram was very new then, you know, and not too many people were on Instagram back in the day. And then I started doing marketing for a consumer durables company, but I realized that within the entire spectrum of marketing, what I enjoy doing the most is social media, which is why what I do now on a daily basis is social media focused. Of course, there's a bit of PR and marketing because it's all interconnected,
Of
and
course,
you
yeah.
also have to kind of work on brand building and a bit of marketing to be able to do your job well. So yeah, that's how it got me to social media, and now I love it. I can, you know, just be on social media and work on social media all day. So,
Sure,
yeah.
sure. All right, great. Apologies, guys. The question should have been a little bit earlier, but it's still great to hear about this. I actually think we've been getting some questions already and some comments so far. So I guess we can do one or two and see how it goes, and then we'll move on to the next few ones. So first, it's from someone named Andy, and it's actually a very good question. How do you approach the quantity versus quality debate when it comes to the posting? He also asks, do you have to post all the time to stay relevant, or can you post only relevant content at a less frequent pace?
Okay, so I would say firstly, see the brand that you are working with. And in terms of posting, at least for Instagram, you know, because it varies for different channels. Like for Twitter, I would focus more on quantity. But for Instagram, I wouldn't want, you know, 5 pictures suddenly in succession, because that doesn't work. So what I would do is Instagram, on an average, what we do is 1 or 2 posts every day and at least 6 to 8 stories. So that is an average that we follow. And these are numbers that work for us, for our brands, on the basis of what we've been doing for about 2 to 3 years, you know. But with Twitter, it's more of a quantity thing. Like, you can keep tweeting, it's okay.
Right,
you know, and also Facebook, interestingly, you know, there was a survey, there are many surveys that were done, and they say that Facebook is the most popular. But at
Really?
least for the brands that, yeah, I didn't know that, because at least for the brands that, you know, we work with, Instagram is the main channel. So yeah, we stick to these figures, because also what happens with Instagram stories is if you're focusing too much on quantity, nobody's going to be clicking it. You're going to be tapping away.
Sure,
Right,
sure,
so
yeah.
I would say this is a number that works for us. But again, it depends, you know, if you're starting to work like a brand new Instagram account for a brand new product or a brand or a service, you test it for about 1 month, see what works for you.
Of course, yeah. Interesting, yeah.
I would agree with you. There's definitely a frequency to each channel. So Facebook is less frequent than Instagram. I mean, Instagram would be good to have every day your content. Facebook, for example, even if somebody wants me to promote something last minute, I just know it won't happen that way, because it takes time for the post to turn in the news feed. So if I post something for an event that is taking place in 2 hours, then if people see it in 8 hours, then it's too late.
Too late.
So
Yeah.
so you have to take care of these specialties for each medium. But for sure, you can tweet.
Yeah, you can
about
tweet,
it.
Yeah, that's one thing I've always noticed with, cause with Twitter, and it doesn't even, because you kind of feel it too. If you see too many posts on Instagram from the same person, you kind of think, why is this being posted so much? But with Twitter, like when you see a lot of tweets, it seems like acceptable, and I think that just might be, you know, due to the way the platforms work and you know how the content is presented.
Yeah,
so
I think so too, because with Twitter, a lot of people are expressing their thoughts. So, you know, you can hear 10 things about what they've done today. But with Instagram, it's a very visual medium, so you don't want a sensory overload. You know, at least,
I see, okay, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Plus, I mean, it overrides your previous post, I think. So
that's true. That's
so
true.
if you post 5 minutes after a new picture, then maybe they are in concurrence in a way. So
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Engagement-wise, it's true. Like, you know, if you want good engagement, people to actually look at your post, and you're doing 3 posts, which one do we look at, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Andy, thank you for that question. Very interesting. Let's see. So we have another one from Sonja, and the question is, what topic words / subjects catch the most attention? I guess it's kind of vague, but maybe in terms of getting the most engagement, like are there any like keywords that you will use in your post at work?
I would say if I talk about Instagram, I don't think it's necessarily the words that matter. So for sure I know which one is like the top performing post. which hour of the day the picture is taken.
Right.
So golden hour always works better than like bright daylight or night. Then of course people have favorite parts of the city. So I know if I post, for example, a picture from above of the Grund, everybody will love it.
Sure.
But I can't do that every day.
Yeah.
So I need to mix it up too. So yeah, you have to play with things you know that perform well, and also other content you want people to see.
Yeah. I would say I agree with Janine on this, you know, because the thing is, you can't really pick and choose words. It's a visual medium. But having said that, for example, the Oscars happened yesterday, hypothetically, right?
Right.
And say you're a BuzzFeed or a similar channel, you know, it definitely helps to have a lot of pictures about the Oscars or a lot of write-ups because those hashtags are trending on that day. You know, Oscars 2021 or something of that sort.
Right.
Also, there's this very interesting exercise that I learned in a course some time ago about words. So they say that it's very important to express yourself in a certain way. So say XYZ is the brand that you're handling. Think of 5 words that you can associate with the brand. So the brand stands for these 5 things, and the content that you post, make sure it's in line with these 5 words.
I see, okay.
It's a very quick branding exercise, but yeah, it helps.
Interesting, yeah. I can see how that works, yeah. And I think especially, you know, with the example with the Oscars, like there's, you know, as a specialist, you also have to be on top of these keywords because, you know, you'll use them for hashtags and, you know, at least like I don't use Twitter too much, but I'll see like, you know, in the morning some words are trending and then afternoon it's completely different. So you know, I was still writing my tweet for the one in the morning, so it's always, you know, as you said, there's the spontaneousness that comes with it as well.
I would add that it's more hashtags than
Hashtags
keywords itself.
That's true. Yeah, hashtags are a big
more hashtags than the words in your text that you're writing.
Definitely, yeah.
Because there are these major trends you kind of can hop on.
Yeah.
Right.
What we're doing, interestingly, is Yoga Day is coming up, right, in about 2 weeks. So it was a big deal last year. So we just, you know, we forecasted that it might be a big deal this year too. Maybe the hashtags are all favoring Yoga Day. So we're creating content in advance. That's something you can do.
Ah, nice. Okay. Yeah. And along the same lines as Sonja's question, because I've heard several different ways of going about this, but when you do a post on Instagram and there will be the first comment from your account and it will have all of the hashtags. Does it matter when you post this comment with the hashtags in order to generate quicker and a larger engagement? Do you know what I mean? Like
I do.
Yeah.
The first comment is basically just the hashtags.
Right, exactly, yeah.
So from what I've seen on Instagram is that your first 24 hours are very essential, you know, and I would say earlier the better, you know.
Gotcha,
but having said that, it's also important to check your insights and see when your audience is the most active. You know, and one tip for everybody out there on Instagram accessing their insights, you know, when you see that bar which says that people are active at so and so time, everything is in PST. So don't let that confuse you.
That's a very good point, I think. Wow, okay.
I think there's a specific time that you need to post your hashtags for Instagram to count it as part of your post.
Right, yeah.
I'm not sure how many minutes, but should
exactly. Because that's why there are some scheduling services like Buffer, for example. You can add your first comment.
Right,
which can be exactly, so it can go out separately so that your post looks clean.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess along these lines, it's a question from Olivia. She asks, what is the best time to post? I think this is the $1 million question when it comes to social media.
I would say check your insights, and it's in PST again.
Gotcha,
because a lot of people confuse it because they see their time and they believe it's their time zone, which is wrong. You know, because the Instagram office is in California, it's their time.
I see. Okay.
That's why even if you want to talk to somebody from the office, it's always their time. So PST.
Okay. Yeah. So everyone listening, PST. Pay attention to your time on your posting with Instagram.
I guess you have to know your customer. You know, if you're a news channel, people would maybe want to read in the morning when they wake up. But usually, after work, people have more time to spend on social networks.
Of course,
or a lunch break. So these would classically be the times to
spikes.
post.
Yeah, I've seen that too. Yeah, because it's typically for something that's not news related, where people can just browse and relax. On social media, it's lunch break or post work hours.
I see. And what about, like, with our team, we've done research and we've seen that, Wednesday is usually a very good day. Also, surprisingly, we saw, like, never really on the weekends, like Saturday and Sunday. It seems as though during the week it's better for, at least for some platforms. Like, I would think that, like LinkedIn, like you will probably get more engagement during the week than on the weekends. And so what about you two? What do you think, like, is there a day where you always will definitely post?
So interestingly, it's different for my personal account versus my work accounts. So on my personal account, I get a lot of traction on Sunday. So when I do a post on Sunday, I get really good engagement because I think people are chilling on social media on a Sunday. So for the work accounts, it's typically a Thursday. Now, I still don't know why, but yeah, Thursday evenings, have been a good time for us to, we also do a lot of content, Thursday, Friday, but yeah, Thursday has been a good day to post. I mean, we post every day, but yeah, if I had to pick a day, then Thursday.
Since we are B2C, weekends actually work quite well, especially if there's something going on that you would tell people about. Or
Interesting. Okay. Okay, we have much more questions. Another one from Olivia is, how do you keep your followers interested?
Definitely by being there. I think rule number one is be present and also reply. If you receive questions, comments, and so on, just show you're not a robot or behind it. So I think that's really important. And then I mean your account probably has some editorial lines, so people know what they get when they follow you, and then that's what they should be interested in. Otherwise, they wouldn't follow. So if you're definitely not interested in tourism, I don't I don't see why you would follow us. So if you never want to come to the city, then I think there's many other accounts that are interesting, but not ours.
I think, that's absolutely show up. I completely agree with that, And I've also seen that with Instagram, the algorithms favor changes. For example, now they're favoring a lot of video content. So it's very important to kind of see what works and, kind of evolve with the pace. Till about last year, we were posting more of pictures because, that's what worked. But with Reels now on Instagram, they are the in thing. Like, they were also experimenting with the positioning of the Reels so often, and in the middle it had like a middle button. So I think that Reels are the in thing. So if you're on Instagram, you want to grow, do a Reel.
Okay.
It's true, but that really requires a whole different team, a whole different setting. You should have maybe people on your reel, and have somebody creating all that. So so it's quite difficult to actually keep up with those changes. And I think Instagram does it because they see a lot of competition from TikTok.
Exactly.
So that's why they really push people to do everything on Instagram and not go on TikTok.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, because I remember when they came up with stories, I think about 3 years ago, Snapchat was doing it. And
you're right.
So
and they actually managed to kind of
get the best of
kick them out.
Because I remember, I think 4 years ago, I was on Snapchat and Instagram, and I used to be on Snapchat just to post stories, because that's what Snapchat was for.
You're right. And you notice now with the reels, the same way you have with TikTok, like you can add like the song to the reel, so it's similar to the way in which the video. So, that's very
which is very interesting. The whole library, because you would get access to so many sounds, and not just music. Suppose somebody is doing a TikTok with like a voiceover, you can also access that and do your own thing. And now with Reels, they've also started something called remixing. So for example, you post a reel and you're saying a dialogue. One of us can go to your reel and do like a response video. That's like a remix. It's a remixed reel.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's very new. I think it's a few weeks old. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it'll probably blow up then,
I think so.
guess,
I
yeah.
think so because I see a lot of it online.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wow. And I think, you both mentioned algorithms when it comes to social media. So, how important is it to know what kind, what the algorithms are, what they're looking for? How do you work with them?
Yeah, it is important, but then sometimes it's also difficult to adapt immediately, and also there's sometimes not much you can do. So if they decide to put organic reach down, they put it down. Basically, they want you to pay for ads, and at some point it's gonna happen everywhere. Because they monetize on business accounts. So so I guess it's important that you can explain it as a social media manager, and then also if somebody asks why the numbers are not the same anymore, that you know where it comes from, and that you know what you can do. I mean, there are some techniques to get more engagement. The more organic engagement you get, the more people will see your content. But then you have to be a lot more creative to get to the same result in the end.
Right.
That's something that I've encountered too, and I completely agree, because with paid ads, it's a very interesting world out there, Sometimes your posts can blow up because, you're spending something on advertising. But in case you take a break, you can also see a drop. So these are things that you should be prepared for beforehand. And also if there are algorithm changes, or it can even happen that maybe a hashtag has been blocked for some reason because people are misusing it. And say, it's a fairly, for example, beauty bloggers was blocked sometime. It's a very normal hashtag. And suppose you're adding it without actually checking if each hashtag works, and they see that you're kind of violating their rule and adding a hashtag that's previously been blocked, you might be shadow banned. So these things happen.
Oh, wow.
And, and you get to know when your engagement reduces, and then you have to fix it. So, you kind of delve into the problem, you do a deep dive, and then you see what's wrong, and then fix the problem.
But you may have, already, tried and posted already too late, so you even lose some time as well when this kind of thing happens. So
yeah, because it's out there, and, it's probably been there for about 8 to 9 hours,
which
or
is
even
a long
more,
time
which
too,
is
I guess, in social media.
That's true.
And so when the two of you use, create promotions and sponsored ads, I've tried this, and I don't know, I'm not an expert in it, but when there's when you add the locations, and you have you can add the country, the city, the region, and then you also have to add the interest aspect as well. And then, you can be spending either 2 minutes or 2 hours trying to get everything right. So for your work and for your personal use, how, which are more important? What's the best way to optimize both of these aspects in your posts?
For us, it's a lot of juggling because we have all the languages. So a lot of ads are in 4 languages. Then Luxembourgish is not recognized by Facebook.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
So you can't really choose that. So who would see your Luxembourgish ad, which is all of Luxembourg, when you know that a lot of people might not be able to understand it? Or so that's pretty tricky. So already you have 4 times each ad, and then you have to select kind of the audience that would understand that language, and then add different interests, and so it takes a lot of time.
So in your case, then would you post the same ad for each language, or for example, if you had one just for, let's say, France, you would have the image and then the caption in French, but would you post the same as well, let's say, in Germany, and you might have German, would you then post the same image as the French one and just translate the caption, or will you just use different things?
Yeah, usually yes, unless there's some special promotions for Germany or for France or something more interesting, like we have tours that are about German writer, so that obviously we will not promote in France.
Sure.
So things like this, can happen, and yeah, advertising is a lot of work. You can do A/B testing. You can do. You can find out many different things about your audience. You can do retargeting campaign after. So it's really kind of alive, I would say.
Sure,
Yeah, that's true. So we've done campaigns in the past, can totally relate to that experience. We also figure out which market we want to target, So for example, if a campaign is being done in the US, then, we are only choosing cities in the US. And sometimes we also target a certain demographic. So, we write down our target audience and accordingly select who we are catering towards when we do that ad campaign. And it can change, depending on where we think the campaign will work. So there was one campaign that I worked, I think about a year ago. It was a pretty elaborate campaign because we also had copies in 4 languages. I think there was French, German, Spanish, and Dutch. So depending on that, we targeted certain French-speaking towns. And it was interesting because for the France campaign, it was not just France. We also, looked at Canada because it's a French-speaking country. So it changes depending on, where we actually want to target. I mean, if it's a regular engagement campaign, then we're okay with like a bunch of cities from all over the world. But yeah, if it's a specific campaign, you have to get down to specifics because there's a different copy for every market that you're targeting.
Sure. Okay.
And sometimes even a different budget, and you work with that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And when you are choosing the demographics, one thing that I've always noticed is that when they'll give you like suggestions sometimes. So at least for Docler, since we're an IT company, on the corporate page when we do a post, there will be a demographic, and let's say it is information technology. So you click that because that's our audience, and then it'll go more specific, and it will say PHP developer, it will say JavaScript community. So the question I have from this is when, like, let's say you want to choose these very specific demographics, but you also want to keep the information technology demographic. When you choose the individual ones, does it take away potential engagement from the information technology demographic, or does it do a balance, or does it just focus on PHP? What do you guys know about how this works?
So in my experience, when I have, chosen something super specific, it's not worked. Something keep it a little broad, that helps.
Okay.
But also interestingly with Instagram, when you actually choose the audience, right, they give you this heads up on top. They say too broad, or they say it's perfect. So I would say just trust that, because the thing is, it's run via Instagram or Facebook. It's their baby at the end of it, so take their suggestions.
Sure.
So I would say look at that, So if they're saying it's perfect, it's neither too narrow nor too broad, it helps.
Okay.
Plus, I think if you go broad in the beginning, then once they launched it, they will quickly see who reacts, and they will give it to the right people. So, I mean, because they want your ad to work, and they want people to click, and So the algorithm is also powerful in that sense.
It is. And we want a lot of people to use Instagram advertising, so they make it as friendly as possible for you. And speaking about which, till I think 2 years ago, you didn't have support from Instagram. Like, you could not write and talk to somebody live, in like a live chat. But now you can do that, and you can also schedule a call with somebody from their office. So that's what is happening now.
Ah, great. Okay. All right. I'm gonna check on some more questions. Okay, one question here is, what's your take on B2B marketing on LinkedIn? And actually, the second part of it is, are companies in Luxembourg optimizing this? So I guess, we can make this a bit bigger, and how important is social media with Luxembourgish companies? Are they using it well? What can they do to make it better? What do you two think?
So I used to work on LinkedIn quite a lot for my previous job, which was very B2B, different industries, and there we clearly have a different strategy. It's more about lead generation, having contacts, inviting people to events. I mean, many more things are now possible on LinkedIn that didn't used to be 2 years ago. Now they're starting with hashtags, with events, with everything. It gets a little more. They even have stories.
They have stories now.
Right? I mean, Twitter as well. So I mean, everybody is kind of going in this direction. But I think you need a more a better content strategy. You really have to show that you're an expert in your domain, and then make people actually read your article and show your expertise. It's not about pretty pictures in that case. Yeah.
With me, I typically take care of B2C, and my main channels that I work with are Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. So, yeah.
It's more about thought leadership on LinkedIn than anything else.
Sure, sure. And then here's another question from Asaru. It goes back to the last topic we were talking about, and it is how do you make sure your post doesn't get lost in the ocean of online content?
I would say, firstly, it depends on the channel, but if you're on Instagram, be selective. And even if you want to do 2 or 3 posts in a day, spread them out. Definitely. You know, don't do 3 posts back to back. You know, there's a content strategy that a lot of people follow on Instagram. For example, you know, when you see a grid on Instagram, it's 9 posts, right? So a lot of people try to kind of make one picture, which is pretty, I agree. But, you know, for engagement, it's horrible because they don't realize that when, like, suppose a picture is split into 9 pictures and 1/9 of it appears on your feed, you have no idea what it is.
Of course.
So I would say, and also, if you're doing like a 3-grid strategy, every time you post 3 posts, which is not good. So unless you're okay with your grid being broken at the bottom, you know, if you have one major campaign, you can launch it like that, but not always.
Okay. Yeah. And so on this question, so that would mean that the 3 posts doesn't really work as much? Like if you have one image divided into 3 posts, would it be better to have that or just one post if you want to look at engagement?
I think one at a time is better, and then let some hours pass or a day pass.
Like you can do 3 separate posts, you know, with a gap, of course, of the same kind, like, you know, which have a theme. For example, I think I was checking out the Marc Jacobs Instagram account, and what they do is they don't divide a picture into 3. From the same campaign, they post 3 unique pictures. So one in the morning, one in the afternoon, one which works. So if you want to do that, do it this way.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, I think you should actually check if the images fit together.
Sure.
Don't have too much contrast or one bright daylight night and then day again, unless that's your pattern. But yeah, the aesthetics play a role as well.
Okay. And when it comes to your take on it not being content not being so lost, what would you think?
I would say add something to it that make people comment. So either have a question, or I don't know, tag your buddy, or or make a giveaway, or anything that will create engagement will boost your post.
You know, that's a very good point, because right now Instagram is focusing on storytelling. It's something that really works. So if you've gone on Instagram, on a lot of posts, you have these carousel posts, the slide posts, you know. So the first slide will ask you a question, like what are the 5 morning habits that I should have to have a productive day, or something like that. And then, you know, you're swiping, and then every grid has something interesting written. So you're actually like saying a story. And if you're a self-help / motivational brand, then, you know, you're creating good content in terms of writing and presenting it well. So it's a good combination.
Sure, okay. Oh, wow. All right, we have this also one is similar to this last one. How much money would you say is like wasted on ads that don't work on social media?
I'm not sure what the spending is, but I think a lot of people try without
understanding.
Or just put a really big amount immediately without testing.
Sure.
And if your audience is not big enough, but the amount of money is really big, then you're just kind of spamming people.
Right.
You will constantly see the advertising. Especially here in Luxembourg, you have to be careful, because usually your audience, if you have a local ad, your audience is not that huge. So big amounts behind that will probably go to waste.
That's true, and it can definitely happen. I mean, it definitely depends on the brand's budget for social media.
Sure, sure.
But it can definitely happen, because the thing is also there are different motives that you can pick for a particular ad. Like if you want more traffic to your website, then you need to click on that. You know, there's no point if you click on engagement and you're getting like 5,000 likes on a picture. And a lot of times till you test it, you know, like you said, it's very difficult to see where the money is going. So I would say start small with a small budget, try different audiences and, you know, different motives for the ad, see what works, and then spend your money.
Interesting, yeah. And another topic that I wanted us to, if you guys can elaborate on, is the Luxembourgish social media environment, because, you know, it's a very international country now. There's a lot of expats who speak many different languages. So, you know, what kind of content, I guess, on both your personal and your work accounts do you create or post to kind of cater towards the Luxembourgish community?
I believe that influencer marketing is very interesting in Luxembourg, and you know, I have collaborated on, you know, on my personal account with a variety of small businesses / brands, and I think what makes it very special in Luxembourg is that you're actually developing a personal relationship with the person behind the business.
Sure,
because in bigger cities or, you know, more populated cities, what happens is, you know, you get a product or you get paid XYZ amount to do a certain posts. It's very corporate, the entire transaction, you know, they say that we need 5 stories, 2 posts, you know, and you need to do it. So it feels like, you know, you have to do it, as opposed to, you know, you actually wanting to getting to know the brand and the people who started it, etc. But I think here it's very nice. It's like a personal relationship. You actually learn about the brand. You actually see where it comes from. And they invite you to experience the brand. In fact, there are times brands have written to me, not even to do a post, but they've just sent their product just so I can check it out. And I think that's nice, because, you know, it's your bit to kind of help local businesses. And they're also, you know, reaching a larger audience, word of mouth or whatever it is. So I like how influencer marketing is shaping up in Luxembourg right now.
And I guess from, like the, you know, as you have the My Luxembourg page, there's, you know, I guess most of your audience is Luxembourgish, so.
Not necessarily. It's like half, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are a lot of people all over the world that follow us. Maybe they have an intent to come to Luxembourg, or maybe they had some touch points in their life. They lived here and then they moved away again, or and they just want to keep seeing some pictures or know what's going on. It's nice actually. There are some Luxembourgish living all over the world too, so they kind of want to have news from home. So it's very diverse, but we do have a lot of expats in the community as well. So definitely English works for everyone. So sometimes there are people complaining a little bit. Or can't you do that in French, or can't you do that, write that in this language? But but English seems to be common ground, I guess. And then we actually try to have a community which is more, I would say, micro-influencer based. So you don't have to be somehow famous or have a certain number of followers yourself to be featured, for example. It's just like if you're in the city, you experience the city, you have a good time, and you feel like sharing it, then we're happy to to do that. So you don't have to dress up and wear something special for your Instagram post for us to
and I think that's
to like it.
And with your page, it's one of the very nice things, because you'll have reposts from users who, you know, may have 10 followers, 100, and the fact that they, you know, even though they may be, you know, not huge on the public scene, the fact that what they created, what they took a picture of, what they posted, is being shown to thousands and thousands of people, you know, it helps them also, like, give them some sense of, oh wow, this is a very nice gesture, like it gives more exposure.
Actually win-win, because I mean they are happy, so oh wow, my post got shared, and then I'm happy because it creates a lot of content. It's authentic. Yeah, and people see how the life really is. So it's not fabricated in any way. Yeah.
Great. And I guess we'll have just one last question. What's like your best advice for people who, you can answer this either way, people who will want to get into social media as a career and also in personal life? What's the best advice for them for their content?
I would say have fun. You have to enjoy it, and you definitely have to be social. Like, don't expect other people to share your things if you never like or share anything else. So it's really a give and take, and something personal. That's why it's called social media. A lot of times, also businesses forget that you should actually be interacting, not only putting your own stuff up. Yeah.
Great.
I think I absolutely agree with that. You know, it's so important to have fun with social media, and it also really helps if you love it, if you're obsessed with it. Like, for example, you know, my daily job involves social media, but also when I take a break from that, I'm back to social media. So, you know, it really helps if you like the media.
We've all been there.
So, yeah, exactly. So it really helps if you like social media. Of course, I mean, there's a good and bad with everything, but if you can focus on the good and actually have fun with it, despite the challenges and despite the roadblocks that you might encounter, you know, social media is a great universe out there. You know, you can sell brands, you can sell products, you can meet people, you can build relationships, you know, you can write, you can just, you know, be Insta famous, whatever you want.
Exactly, yeah.
It's a nice world out there. So explore it, experience it, and, you know, if you like social media, go for it. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I guess the secret is the people behind the screen.
Yeah, I'll make it happen.
That's a great way to wrap up this conversation. Janine, Sindhu, thank you very much. Just so you know, our audience knows your handles on Instagram, My Luxembourg. And for you, it's 50 Shades of Sin, right? Yeah.
FIFTY.
Yeah. So please follow them on their pages. Check out their content. They're always having great stuff daily at the right times and the perfect quality. Thank you, everyone, again for joining us today. I also want to thank the Farvest Studio for letting Docler use their studio for this talk. Also for AmCham and Luxembourg Chamber of Commerce for partnering with us for this event. We will see you at the end of June for our next Tech Talk. Follow us on our social media so you can find out more about the theme. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.